Good morning. This is Real Talk Conversations with Angel. And this morning, we're going to talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart. We're going to talk about domestic violence. This is going to be a series of conversations that we're going to have on surviving domestic violence. This is not a man bashing video because both men and women are survivors of domestic abuse, of violence through an intimate partner. And so I'm going to do a series that I'm going to share with you some information on surviving domestic abuse. I'm going to talk a little bit and get personal with you about how I survived and how I got help. So, this is going to be a series because it is a topic that should never go away as long as one person is in a relationship in which they are being abused. So I'm going to share with you some statistics, some national statistics on abuse. On an average, and this is not just, I'm going to share my screen so that you can see what I'm reading and understand that this is from a national perspective. It is not just something I'm coming up with, but on an average, 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. Now, we understand that domestic violence and abuse occurs not just in the United States, but it occurs all across the world. In a year, that's more than 10 million men and women who are being abused. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience partner violence. Now, I am not just talking about physical violence, emotional abuse, psychological abuse. Um, there are so many people out here that have undiagnosed mental illnesses, and family members know about it, but are silent, and it's like the elephant in the room. You know, whether you are a male or a female, if you are not being uplifted and protected and shown love and appreciation in your relationship, you need to look at that relationship and answer the question to yourself: is your life more valuable than any abuse you're being taken or you're suffering through? For me, it was a matter of, regardless of what I was going through, I was raised to honor the vows that I had taken. And for me, death do us part wasn't just the death of a relationship. I thought that was the at the end of the life. And so when you say and you take vows, and you say till death do us part, in good and bad, in sickness and health. And so I just figured it was the luck of the draw, and I got bad. And so I accepted that. But at what expense? Now, when I share national statistics, I'm not just sharing what I think or, what I think something should be. So these national statistics are for you to go and look up yourself. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men are victims of severe physical violence, beatings, burning, stranglings. For me, that was the final straw, the strangling. Um, I had taken emotional abuse for years, psychological abuse, but that was the final straw when I almost lost my life through strangulation. And I even had a man tell me, well, that was a man, and if he really wanted to kill you, you would be dead, making light of it, that it couldn't have been that bad. Hear me clearly. The God I serve did not allow my partner to kill me. And I can go into details about, how I knew the presence of God was there, but it is God who spared my life. He spared my life through an illness, and he spared my life through domestic violence. And so I'm here not only to uplift both men and women who are living through domestic violent situations, but I'm here to let you know that life does go on. You can thrive after being in an abusive relationship. The statistics show that women between the ages of 18 and 24 are most commonly abused by an intimate partner. But hear me clearly. There are a number of you out there who are in situations, you've been in them such a long time that you have accepted your fate. And so, in the instance of my case, I was married 24 years to a person who was very abusive and not physically abusive all the time. Okay. It wasn't physical abuse, but mental and emotional abuse will beat you down and stress you out. And you will not know the final physical abuse was the last straw because I almost lost my life. And I could not, for me, fathom. I begged God for my life on my sick bed. And how could I slap God in his face by allowing a man to take my life after God granted my prayer? So that was the ultimate straw when the person I loved more than anyone in this world betrayed me. And that's something that is hard to get over because you have to forgive, and it's hard to forgive the betrayal of the person you love most in this world. But in loving God, God gives you grace, God gives you mercy. And when you ask him to come into your heart to heal those brokenheartedness, the wounds of that, for me, that's what worked. Now, I will tell you, if you are living in a situation where you are being abused, you have to have the umption to get out of that situation. When I did get out of that situation, I was a basket case, man. So I had people who loved me, women who upheld me. And, a close friend of mine was straight up when I would get in my head, she would be like, Angel, I'm about to slap you. I'm going to run afterward because I know, that you could beat me up, but I'm going to slap you. And she would get me out of my head, and she loved on me. And these three women, one of them was my sister. Okay. One of them was a co-worker of mine who saw me as a strong woman and would not let me lose my mind. And so it was that family that upheld me, that friendship that comforted me so that I could survive and keep going and keep going. And I will tell you, in every state, there is a domestic violence center. Please seek it out because I live in Houston. So the Houston Area Women's Center is and was my lifeline, who helped me and gave me counseling. And there were things that I minimized that I had no idea that was abuse, that, it took a counselor to like, hey, that is not how things go. So no matter, even if you think you're the most intelligent person in the world, which I do not think, I have some brains, but I don't know everything. And I'm always open to learning. I'm here to tell you there is help out there and you need to seek the help. Now, getting back to the statistics, it says that on a typical day, there are more than 20,000 phone calls placed to domestic violence hotline nationwide. Now, when I placed that phone call, I could barely speak. And they were there for me and helped me through, to calm down and to get out and go on. And so I'm not saying it's all women, because there are so many men that are in abusive relationships that are ashamed to say, hey, I'm being abused. And what man wants to admit that their partner who they have committed to is not being loving toward them, is gaslighting them, making them think they're crazy. When you bring up an issue, it becomes an argument, and then a one that you will never win, because there are so many people who are, and I'm not a therapist, so I cannot diagnose a person to say that they are bipolar or narcissistic. But what I will tell you is, from common sense reading and being intellectual enough, you can identify the traits, as well as for myself, my people pleasing. I've been a people pleaser all my life, as well as I have an enabling. So I made excuses for that partner that harmed me, you know. And the thing is, I was so emotionally unhealthy that, I provided the gun for the my partner. He did not use a gun on me that day, but it was so much traumatic experiences that my children went through and my son went through, that we are very grateful that we have survived this. And it didn't happen overnight. So I'm here to share with you some real information, to let you know there is help out there, to let you know you are worthy of more than being abused by your partner, whether you are male or female. 34% of people who are injured by an intimate partner receive medical care for their injuries. And here's the thing, many times people will lie when they are in the situation about how they got injured. They are afraid. And, it's hard for a person that is living through that to understand, and your friends minimizing. I had a guy tell me, well, that it couldn't have really been that bad, Angel, because that was a man, and if he wanted to kill you, you would be dead. And he forgot the one source, that God would not allow this person to kill me. So I'm here because of the God I serve. Okay. The one and only true God. And I'm not here right now to tell you, that, oh, I didn't rely on God ever, because when in my darkest hours, I would say a prayer, but I felt very alone. And when you are betrayed, I listened to a sermon, and forgiveness is a hard thing. And forgiving betrayal is from your most intimate partner is a very necessary step. And that is not going to occur overnight. It is going to take a process. But I will tell you, when your friends around you don't understand, don't try to make them understand. There are limitations to what capacity a person has. And so just know that your friends are there for you, but they cannot. And many of them cannot understand what you've been through. And their words of get over it is meant well, because they want to see you move on with your life and thrive. But until you get help, many times you may be stuck in a loop. And I'm doing this series to let you know that there is life and there is hope after being abused, after being in an abusive relationship. And it's very important that when you move on, and if you get into another relationship with someone, that you do not become the abuser, because in many instances, in when you have lived through abuse, many abused people become abusers. Now, on the next series, we're going to talk about some of the mental illnesses that occurs with a person that has them um, harming their intimate partner. We're going to talk about narcissistic behavior. We're going to talk about bipolar behavior. We're going to talk about people like myself who are enablers. So I do not just place the blame on the abuser because, when I walked away, God gave me the strength to walk away, being that I was on my sick bed and begged God for my life. And I could not, I felt it would be a slap in the face to God if I asked him to spare my life from illness, but yet I let a man take my life. So we're going to talk a lot about domestic violence, and I am going to show you. I don't just go on my word, okay? I can tell you of my experience. I can tell you that, you know, there is life afterward, but it is a long road. It is, you have to have that option to leave. And I don't, and no one else can tell you what is the last straw for you. But the last straw was strangulation for me, and where it was costing me my life. And I wouldn't allow it. Not only not me, but God wouldn't allow it. God gave me the strength. So we're going to talk about, let's talk about men who are being abused, because there are men who are ashamed to say that they are in a relationship with these women who just are abusing them and taking their love for granted and gaslighting them. And that is not cool. So I'm an equal opportunity person. Okay. So I'm not going to say, oh, it's just men abusing women, because you have some women out here that are doozies and just as sick mentally and emotionally, and they need the help, all across America. And I live in America, so I can speak about how many mental institutions and therapists that have the therapy has been closed to people. And so when you look around, people, a lot of people will not admit, it's like an elephant in the room, that their family members are ill mentally or need help. And they would rather tiptoe around the situation than to get involved and say, hey, normal people don't act that way. And so there is something going on with you. And for you to abuse your family is not cool. So this is Real Talk Conversations with Angel. This is the first part of a series. I hope you like this video. I hope you would subscribe to Real Talk Conversations with Angel, because there'll be more videos coming. And this is just the first part on domestic violence, because I do have a lot to say.